The heck? There. Try that again. Welcome to the Tuesday Night Music Show. We're back with the original crew here. We have Howie, Jay, and Jay is like got milk coming out of his mouth or White Claw, or whatever the hell he's drinking.
Something. Wow, what happened?
I don't know.
I don't either.
Like
that's going to go on the blooper reel. We're going to watch that at the company Christmas party, which just happened last week. So I guess we'll watch it next year, 2024.
Right. Yeah. You're probably watching this in December or something. So
we'll watch this in 2024's Christmas party. We'll show it on that blooper reel.
Isn't it Easter target date?
Yeah, it could be Easter, coloring eggs or something.
Yeah. Happy Yom Kippur, everybody. I thank my peeps.
Here we go again.
Here we go.
Let's see him get that out of the middle of the show.
Oh man, boy, it's too bad we never get along. Too bad we never have a laugh. Too bad we don't like each other.
I know. It's terrible.
It's just a shame. So, what are we going to talk about tonight? Anything?
It's a music show. What do you think?
It's your show.
Yeah, we should talk about music, huh?
I'm just thinking. I'm just
on the
saying.
Music show? Really?
You know, do you think we really covered any new music at DJ X at all, or just new music in general? Or
well, I don't know if it has much to do with covering new music. It's just music in general, you know.
Yeah, I haven't. You know, we know the tracks that have just dropped. John told us last night about the Nicki Minaj track where she samples Super Freak.
Wow.
Yeah, like heavily. Like the beginning is Rick James, and then it goes into her rapping over pretty much Rick James, which would have been a great idea if her name was MC Hammer. And then
Rick James.
Rick James, yeah. You bring him back.
Isn't it funny though how people were like, you're talking about all the old music, but the old music is still relevant because people are still using it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, and that's I think for most parts. Sorry about the dog.
Bailey. Naughty
Bailey's on the guard because Connor and Michelle are out in the driveway. So she's protecting them from inside somehow.
Sure. Good job, Bailey.
You know, I think, and we've had this talk before, I really think you have a lot of new production people who 5 years ago or 4 years ago or 2 years ago were in high school and they have a vision, but that vision hasn't been fully realized yet. So they're taking things they've heard and they're going way back in music. And I mean, they're going way back to things like Dr. Dre sampling for The Chronic and saying, this is how it's done.
Sure.
You go in, you take a sample, you take a hook. It's almost like the new generation of production doesn't understand. There was a time when music was actually written from one of the 7 chords in a key.
Right.
And then there's
played instruments.
Yeah, when they say like 1, 3, 5 in C, that's a pattern that's universally known.
Sure.
I think now it's like, you know what? I heard this hook, man. See if you can spit over this.
Sure.
And because there's no music labels over their shoulder now. So there's nobody there to babysit them.
I guess.
And say, you can't do that.
Yeah.
That's what makes somebody like the Foo Fighters a bit of an anomaly, that they're like, not only are we doing our own stuff, but we're going to do it analog.
You know what? I will say this, though. Since I first heard it, going back almost 40 years, I like sampling. I enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's... And you know what I love? And I fell in love with it when I first heard it. I love old, gritty 8-bit samples. I think they're magical. Like, and without getting too geeky here, unfortunately,
too late.
I know, too late. The Fairlight Series 2, we've talked about the Fairlight CMI. Okay, we discussed it last night a little bit.
Yeah.
If you don't know, that was the first music computer. It was like an 8-bit sampler. Stevie Wonder bought the first one. But if you want to know what it sounds like, if you want to know like kind of what the sounds were on that, if you've ever heard the song Yes, Owner of a Lonely Heart, the guitar riff is Fairlight.
Mm-hmm.
The horn stabs are Fairlight. If you ever heard ZZ Top's Afterburner album with Stages, that's Fairlight. Sleeping Bags, Fairlight. Janet Jackson's first album, Control, was Fairlight. When I Think of You,
Sledgehammer,
Child, Don't Want to Fall in Love, Peter Gabriel, Sledgehammer, exactly.
Yeah.
Pet Shop Boys, Westing Girls, all of that stuff was that sound, but it was 8-bit. It was Tears for Fears, songs from the Big Cher album. Wow, that was Fairlight. Whole bunch of it.
Yeah.
Like Shout, that do 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 do. That's a stock Fairlight sample.
Yeah.
They were gritty samples. They were taken, a lot of them were taken from like old jazz albums from like the 30s. It was kind of neat. Art of Noise. I mean, that's, my joint. The Into Battle album, Who's Afraid Of, that's all Fairlight.
Pussifer, the Maynard Keenan of Tool and Perfect Circle, has a third group called Pussifer. And that's where it started last night. He's doing a big interview with Rick Beato, and one of his guys in the band that co-writes with him just got a Fairlight.
Yeah.
And they're using it all over the place. Like, they're thrilled about it. And I like the going back. I thought in the mid 80s, when they went to the Unplugged series for MTV, I thought that was a great nod to here's real music, because with an acoustic guitar, it's a much different thing. Bringing the Fairlight back is paying homage to the older stuff. And in that respect, a bit of the sampling I enjoy. And even the sampling that's not done for any other reason than maybe laziness, if it's familiar to you, I think there's something to it.
Well, what I was trying to get at, and I kind of took a roundabout way to get there, was if I think back to 70s music, if I think back to some of the great stuff, some of the fantastic stuff like Steely Dan, and can we go any further? That's about the benchmark of greatness as far as production goes and musicianship goes.
I think so. Yeah.
Steely Dan.
Yeah.
That sounded so good. And it was using more traditional instruments. Yeah, there was a synth here and there or whatever, but it was more traditional stuff. And they had done things to it in production to make things maybe sound a little different or sound better. When sampling came along, that was a new sound I'd never heard before. I'd heard a guitar played several different ways. I've heard vocals performed several different ways with several different filters and things like that involved. But when you add this weird 8-bit gritty sample, wow, never heard that before. And it went on like that through probably most of the 80s, maybe a little bit of the 90s. But then sampling became this thing that was undetectable from the real instrument. And that's when it wasn't fun anymore. Like, okay, if the horns sound exactly like horns, and the drums sound exactly like drums, and the stab sounds exactly like a stab, this isn't something I haven't heard before. They perfected it. So now why are they using that instead of the real thing? That's when the magic was gone for me. I wasn't hearing anything new anymore. And then you've got, like you're talking about with the new track that Nicki Minaj is doing. I haven't heard it, but I know what the Loop the Super Freak sounds like. It sounds exactly like what Rick James did. It's not gritty. I'm sure it's not. It's perfect. Yeah. And the perfection ruins it for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what they do now is they'll do one take of, let's say, a vocal, and then they go, oh, wait, let me do it again. I missed it. No, we'll fix it in post. And
we'll copy paste it on every chorus, so it's exactly perfect.
Yeah.
It's the Pro Tools approach where you have that luxury.
Because it's money. Time is money, and they're a factory right now.
Sure.
They're actually a factory. They're a music factory.
Yeah.
There's not money in the business like there used to be.
No. I've got a brand new MacBook Pro that I'm setting up to start using. I looked over the numbers. It's powerful enough to run a pretty high-end version of Pro Tools if I had it. So I could technically sit here with a microphone and some sort of an audio board and just create music. I mean, that's a great thing if you have a vision or a talent or want to do something, but it's muddying the waters a little. I don't want to be the censorship or the non-art guy. Like, if whatever you hear in your head, you should be able to throw out to the world. And if somebody likes it, like it.
Right.
But there's a point where people aren't, when you have a record label over your shoulder, they're telling you the record's not ready or the record is ready. If you're in your room alone, you're either going to like get stuck on a riff and never get out of it, or you're going to think this is the best thing ever. I'm just going to keep throwing it out there. But, for right or wrong, I think it's going to follow the landscape of where we are. I haven't heard anything crazy new that really jumped off the table since probably like White Stripes and Black Keys, where they said, what's the smallest band we can do? 3 people. We'll do 2. Whoa, time out. You can't just have a drummer and a guitarist. No, we'll do that. And when you read up on Jack White, you realize, Brian and Jack White would hang out and never stop talking to each other. Jack White's that guy. He's that guy that wants to talk about what happened to music 40 years ago, 50, 100 years ago, and try to pay respect to it, but also try to create something new. And that's not easy. It's not easy. There's only 7 notes.
Yeah. Now, my version of "You're Only as Good as Your Last Gig" is saying this thing over and over again, which is, I believe, and I'll say we, I'll include all of us into this.
Okay.
We are the first generation. When we look at new music, we don't think, oh my gosh, this is just too much. We're actually bored. And that goes to what you were saying about you haven't heard anything that's blowing your head off. And I get it, because everything is homogenous and sounds exactly the same. If you show me something that sounds genuinely different than what was, than the next song, let's talk. But that was the wow moment that, as a DJ, I look for when I'm gigging. I try to throw those songs out that people forgot about. Go, oh my gosh, I forgot about this song. It's different than the other songs. It may not even mix in what I'm playing. It doesn't matter. It's just left field. Oh my gosh, forgot about this. We don't have those songs being produced anymore. Everything kind of sounds the same. There's a formula, and they stick to the formula, and everyone's using the same software program to do what they do. Everybody wants to sound like everybody else. Everybody wants to look like everybody else. That is not the cloth I was cut from.
No.
Well, not even, me, for sure, not the cloth I was cut from.
And I firmly believe that, because I would promote this. If I was if somebody said, and I am the first to admit, I don't ever aspire to be a producer. That's just not in my wheelhouse. But if I was suddenly faced with the decision-making process, I would simply say, let's look at 1974 to 1976. Let's find the top 10 Billboard tracks. Let's break them down into keys and chords, and let's kind of reverse engineer it a little bit. Because again,
not the first time.
No, but I think that's going on again. Because I'm starting to hear tracks and go, oh, wait a second, this is this song, and this is bits of, like, and I've always respected artists that are fans of something, and you listen to their, you listen to Led Zeppelin and you say, hey, man, they must have loved Robert Johnson. They use about 20 of his lines, a bunch of his chords. I have no issue with that. If you want to sound like your heroes, I think that's respectful. If you want to rip off somebody that made a little money 50 years ago because you want to leg up on the competition, it may be cheating, it may not be. But try to do it in a new way. I mean, we've talked ad nauseum about Dark Side of the Moon. That album came out 52 years ago. So it's not, that many years in perspective. Sure. And yet you look at when they were, putting tape around chairs and around rooms just to get an alarm clock effect. Now, I've got an iPhone in my pocket. I can make any alarm clock effect I want. Sure. Like, have we learned that much from the work that those before us did? But I like tools to help you be more creative. What I don't think is cool are tools that replace your creativity. Yeah, I think that's what's happening. I think people are taking the shortcut going, do you want to spend a month in here? Like, you look back on Rumors. Rumors took 1.5 years to record. Just try to imagine in 168 hours in a week, what your life would be like if I said you have a year and a half to record these 8 songs. Like, I mean, I keep waiting for them to release the 12-hour box set of like outtakes. There is none. They just took their time and did coke. I mean, this isn't like a secret, but it's like a year and a half to drop 8 tracks.
I want to go back just as something I said, how he responded to it, about how we were talking about, you know, there are tools that help you express your creativity. Like Jay was saying earlier. Okay, I have this idea in my head and to get it out there. Okay, now I have this tool that I can create this thing easily. That's cool. But then the tool sometimes can replace your creativity. I think it's all in the hands of whoever happens to be holding the tool.
Exactly.
So Jay was saying something about Mixmeister a while back. I use it. I still use it. It's a 20-year-old program and I love it. And Jay was saying, well, he knows a guy who just would throw stuff on there and it was, you know, whatever. It's like, well, I don't use it that way. So I use it different than that guy did.
Right.
So it's not the tool. It's who's using the tool.
And how you use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That reminds me very, very quickly. If you've never heard this, I'll make it as short as I can. There's a huge cruise liner stuck off the coast of Italy. It's run aground and they cannot start the engines. They can't. They bring in the best engineers in the world to start the engine.
Here we go. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
And they finally, this old man comes over. He goes in and looks. He goes out to his bag and pulls out a hammer. He goes back in. 2 minutes later, the motor starts. He comes off with the hammer. He goes, "You're good to go." Sends him a bill for $50,000. They go, whoa, whoa, whoa. The guy was there for 2 minutes with a hammer. And they call him up and say, "Hey, can you line item this invoice?" He goes, "Sure." He goes, "Hammer, $2. Knowing where to use the hammer and what to hit with the hammer, $49,998. The point just being, like you said, if you don't know where and how to use the tool to the best of its ability, it won't, you know, Eric Clapton comes over here tonight and hands me his guitar. I won't sound like Eric Clapton.
Right.
But if I give Eric Clapton the guitar over there,
it's going to sound like Eric Clapton.
It's going to sound like Eric Clapton.
Right, right.
You know, and I think, I don't know that people under the age of 30, so I will use that lumping in of younger people.
Yeah.
I don't know if they understand that concept. That it's,
no, they probably don't. I mean, but it's in all fairness.
And I'm not slamming them. I'm saying they need to research a little more about what it is they're doing if they want to be. If you're in music because you just got out on parole and you had no other thoughts, and now you're suddenly famous making millions, or you were a stripper. Dude, let's be blunt. If you were a stripper last year and this year you're a multi-million-dollar artist, you're either doing what everybody wants to hear, which means you're right and I'm wrong.
Let me stop you right there. And the reason I want to stop you right there is because it's my opinion, really, and if I'm going to be fair about things, I don't have a problem with what Cardi B is doing or Megan Thee Stallion's doing. I don't have a problem with what a lot of these people are doing. The problem I have is that very few seem to be doing much of anything else.
Right.
You can do that, but who's doing the cool thing? Who's doing
Cardi B's doing an acoustic record, I heard.
Well, one of the things that I've noticed, you know, within this industrialized music or corporate music is that it has to be quantitized four times, so it's, you know, easier.
Also, a DJ can mix it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but,
otherwise you're in trouble.
But what about those great songs? I mean, the last show about music, you talked about Rush, and we were talking about time signatures, and something that surprises us. Where is that these days? I want to be surprised.
And that's where I'm saying we are I strongly believe that we are the first generation who are genuinely bored. Like it's not that we're appalled by new music. It's not offending us. Well, Jay it is. Jay's that guy. He's mad at pumped up kicks.
No.
He's mad at bad words. I don't care. It's not shocking to me. They've been using bad words in music for years. I don't care.
That's the message they're giving. They're lying when they say, "Oh, this is about anti." No, it's not.
Whatever, Jay. You're an anomaly. Or maybe you're normal and I'm the weird one. I don't know. Or Howie and I are the weird ones and you're
I'm an anomaly wrapped in
you're the normal guy.
surrounded by a nightmare.
I'm
looking
just
for a bartender.
I'm just saying that I don't remember because I got confused there for a minute. That happens. No,
I don't think they're doing anything different.
I'm bored. I'm freaking bored.
Where is not willing to? Why would you, Brian? Why would you do something different if you're getting millions and millions of dollars to just stand there and rap and swear and do this?
Because
this.
I don't care about the money. I care about the art.
But this is you just proved my point. My next line is simply going to be because they're not artists.
No, they're just trying to bank.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Some guy playing in a nightclub tonight for $200 that's been on tour for the last 30 years of his life, putting out his own music. That's the artist.
Well, one thing I've noticed is the merch is different. Remember the oldies merch was like a t-shirt, right?
Yeah.
Now the merch is, my perfume, my sneakers,
sure.
Sure.
They've been doing that for a very long time too. Maybe not to the extent they do it now. Right. I remember Debbie Gibson's Electric Youth perfume. I remember that.
Hey.
Well, the ones that Kmart. I may be wrong, but the people that the group that started it was Kiss. I mean, you got Kiss, you got Kiss games. Kiss had everything. They even had their own pinball machine.
I think you're right. Kiss was probably the first ones.
They were the first.
Kiss wanted to be the Coca-Cola.
Their own pinball machine.
They have caskets. Kiss makes no apologies. They want to be Coca-Cola. Mm-hmm. They'll sell anything. They'll put their name on anything that turns a profit. But they're unabashedly upfront about here is very simple, easy to digest music about having a good time. Forget your bills, show up at the show. That's what I always liked about Motley Crue in the 80s. Motley Crue and Poison and Rat, they were about, I forgot, I'm overdrawn on my checking account by $20 and my Visa just got canceled, but nothing but a good time tonight with Poison, and I'll go back to reality tomorrow. Then the 90s hit, and it was like, I showed up at a Nirvana show, and I'm like,
my life sucks.
Oh my God, my life sucks.
I'm sad.
I need to go bury myself.
Yeah. I was having so much fun when that stuff hit. I was having the time of my life. I'd finally figured out how to talk to girls, so that was easy.
That's a big one.
I was DJing downtown. I was dressing good. I was going to cool clubs, and all of a sudden, all this depressing music comes out. I'm like, why are you upset?
Yeah,
there's nothing to be upset about. Life is good.
Hey, don't get offended, world. Have you been to Seattle?
Yeah,
it rains a lot. It gets very dark.
We need that music like we need a hole in the head. Oh, wait, too soon.
But I
always thought that music was made popular. Same thing with disco, a little different, but almost similar. When all of a sudden Disco Sucks came out, and then the whole Nirvana thing came out,
right?
Like there was dance music happening, and then there was a shift. And I always thought there was this conspiracy against guys who couldn't dance. Like guys who couldn't dance were like doing this thing to like get rid of the dance music because they didn't like it that they couldn't dance.
Right.
So they made this.
I just thought it was when college radio took over. There's not much of what came out then. I mean, yeah, it was depressing, but like STP, love Nirvana, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden. I think Chris Cornell is probably one of the greatest singers of all time. But yet, the shift was simply, they said this is reflective of where kids are, and I would dare say, kids became reflective of what the music was.
I was having a great time.
I was.
What the hell they were up to?
1990, dude. I don't even want to go into detail, but it was a party. Let me tell you, it was a party. Oh yeah. No, I was single then too. Yeah, I knew how to talk to girls in 1992.
Yeah. Although you look like a Don Johnson reject.
Well, at the time,
okay,
yes, it's okay. That's all right. I wanted the pink lizard.
You're cool now. Took you a while, but you came around.
AKA Tubbs. I wanted it. Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you what my trick was, and it was a real quick line. Would you like to dance?
Wow.
Whoa.
That's all.
And then they would go out and do the Charleston.
Guys wouldn't dance. If you ask anyone to dance, they would dance with you.
I used that line once. And as the doorman said, The strippers don't dance with the guys.
Oh.
I realized right then and there. Apparently, because I thought I got a cool line. Hey, want to dance?
All right.
And I said, now granted, I said it to her on stage. Again, a mistake that was not brought to. Nowhere did it say, "Do not go up the steps and get near the pole." It was not clear to me.
All I was trying to say was that I was having fun. That's all I was trying to say.
Too. I was having a blast.
But a blast. What do I get to be depressed about here?
Nothing.
This is not me. I know how to dance. I know how to DJ.
I had a
I'm
great night.
having fun.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we depressed all of a sudden?
Because I think they wanted to switch, and that's what.
Yeah, well,
what I
they
didn't
who?
understand.
The evil ones who
I
can't
think the
dance.
industry. I think the industry suddenly got sick of the hair metal and said, "Let's do this." But what they didn't take into consideration was all the Nirvana type bands out of Seattle and everywhere else. They were rooted in Black Sabbath. They were rooted in rock and roll. They weren't some. When you say alternative, I remember hearing Nirvana and Soundgarden were alternative. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure they listened to Black Sabbath and the Stones and the Beatles and
Right.
You heard all these things. I played the Lead Belly song the other night, the one that Nirvana covered when they did the Unplugged session. But here's the difference. Back then, that guitar would have been worth $1,000 to a fan. Do you know what that acoustic guitar sold for at auction last year? $6.3 million to the owner of Rode Microphones. Like, when did that become $6 million for the guitar and $300,000 for the old, Barracuda that you and I could have bought for $1,800? Everything's been twisted up and put in
you
here.
boomers screwed it up.
No, they did. I'm not going to lie. There was that
screwed
sense
it all up.
now we've got some money. Let's jack the price of everything. Music is the one thing that somehow filtered through, and just it gets affected by the environment. But I always thought it shouldn't. I loved it when I could hear, early radio in the 70s. I could hear Layla followed by Aretha Franklin, followed by Al Green, followed by some punky type song. I wanted all of it. I
think I did absolutely. I'm sure Howie did. Although Howie was more on the rock tip.
Yeah, but it was acceptable to have that because the bands themselves. I mean, Deborah Harry didn't just listen to punk.
Right.
Chris Stein didn't just listen to television and this and this and this. They had to be influenced by those that went before. And I think what's wrong now is you can't look at a Cardi B or a Megan Thee Stallion, and they do have some good songs, but you can't tell where they're coming from.
I want to talk about something.
Influence.
I want to talk about something that might be a little heavy for the show.
Metal.
We're heavy.
I want to talk about something that might upset some people.
Oh,
How do
okay.
you feel about that?
Is it last call? I gotta check.
I was thinking about something. I was thinking about something the other day. I can't get it out of my head. Cannot get it out.
Is it a Kylie Minogue song? See where I went there, Howie? Can't get out of his head. Kylie Minogue.
I'm not even close to where I was trying to go, but this is something
that song's in your head now.
I can't get my head around this. And if you gentlemen want to help me out,
okay,
I would for you, Brian. It. We're here. If you want to take me on a path where this all makes sense, I welcome it.
Go for it.
Without Googling it. I'll start here for a jump point. For a jump point on this. Without Googling it.
Okay.
I can't Google it right now.
What was the number one R&B song of 1976? Without Googling it.
I'm
take a crack at it.
I am gonna say
Can't Get Close to You, Babe.
I was gonna say either Rubber Band Man, which might be too late. What about something by Smokey Robinson?
No. What if I told you?
Wait. Something by the Bee Gees.
What if I told you?
Oh, Elton John.
It's not R&B.
That the number one R&B song,
R&B,
1976,
right,
was "Low Down" by Boss Skaggs.
Yeah,
no.
I'd buy that.
Okay,
it's a great song.
It's a funky song.
It's a very funky song.
It's a great song,
and I think he had real players on it too.
He did.
Porcaro,
Jeff.
He had the Toto team.
He was a drummer on that.
Yeah, Jeff Porcaro from Toto.
Yeah, but
they
it
were
was
all
a good
studio
song.
guys. They were the Muscle Shoals of California, I think.
But that was the number one R&B song of 1976.
It's a great song, though.
But how is
when
that?
I said Elton John, he had in '73. Was it Benny and the Jets? That he was on Soul Train performing, and he even said, he's like, I showed up, and I don't think they all knew what I looked like, because I'm sitting there grooving, playing, and they're all like dancing. They're like, whoa, what?
Yeah.
Like he had a number one R&B with that, and a number one pop with it.
Bobby Caldwell. To this day, people think he's a black dude. He's a white dude.
No, he's a white dude.
But what was your original point that you thought you needed help on? I don't.
Here's where I'm at, and again, this is going to be very controversial for this show.
Okay.
Very.
Yeah, that's a stretch.
But he says, in 1976 I was 4. In 1976 I was 5. Actually, I was 4 coming into it, so same thing, buddy.
1976, I was 32. Howie
Howie was in his mid-50s. Yeah. So anyway, get back to
I didn't say that part, Howie.
He did.
Send your letters to AARP, care of.
And this is controversial for the show. I know it is. But I'm thinking to myself, today, and we're going back, not even today. Do you know who had the number one R&B album? Who got the Grammy for number one R&B album in 1988? Do you know who it was?
I'll be sure.
No.
88?
88. Who got it?
The
Grammy for the number one R&B album. They got the Grammy for it.
Stevie Wonder.
No. What if I told you it was George Michael for Faith?
It's a great R&B album.
It is.
It's a great R&B
This is when everything changed.
Mm-hmm.
I believe this is when everything changed because there was blowback for it.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
Because he wasn't a black dude.
Yeah, you're right.
And because it was on the pop charts, too. It was a crossover.
He wasn't a black dude. Crossovers do fine. Crossovers are welcome.
I thought the best album of 90 was In Living Color. Or Living Color.
Living Color?
Living Color's debut
Vivid?
album.
Well, no, Vivid was earlier than that. That was 88.
Oh, then was it 88?
I think Type was the album that came out in 90.
What it had Open Letter to a Landlord, Cult of Personality.
That was the first one. That was Vivid.
And it was
the second one was called Time's Up.
Time's Up is a great album, but the first one, I remember
Vivid.
I heard it.
Vivid.
And I said, this is the album of the year. And it ended up, I believe, becoming Rolling Stone Album of the Year. But the point is, they made so much more noise about Living Color being an all black band.
I don't remember a lot of. I remember people just anybody who was into rock was down with it.
Oh yeah, it was great.
Nobody
who
was into rock was saying, no, it's not legitimate because they're black guys.
No, it wasn't that. It was that they had to make that noise of, and like they always had to throw it in as a secondary. Like,
well, I don't know. It was pretty obvious in the music video.
Well,
you hear it and you see the video, like, huh? Wow.
But see, this
is even cooler.
But see, that's the problem. It feeds into what you're saying about, low Boss Skaggs and George Michael.
Lowdown. Mm-hmm.
Right. Being the artists that they were, in the position that they were, and winning the accolades that they did. Today, you'd have a very difficult time.
But here's my point. Here's where I'm going with this, and this is where we're getting a little controversial. I know my music, right?
By the way, at the end of the show, we are going to announce the pronouns that we're now going to be going by moving forward. Mine are going to be thee, she, and it, because I am.
I'm going to leave Faith alone on this. I'm saying Faith was the breaking point when there was blowback on it. So why does a white British guy get the number one R&B album? Why does he win the Grammy for this when there were all these other R&B albums? I'll tell you why. It was a better album. That's why. It was a really good album, and it was an R&B album.
And you didn't have Kanye West come up and grab the thing from him live on TV.
Go back to Boss Skaggs' Lowdown now. Think about the song Lowdown. Think about how smooth and funky and creative and unique that track is.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me a better R&B song from 1976.
Lido Shuffle.
That was not 76, but again, it was still Boz.
Still Boz.
All I'm saying is that, there was a time Okay. There was a time.
When music was colorblind.
Well, not only that,
Mhm.
but it was socially
Exactly.
acceptable for someone who there wasn't this whole appropriating things that they're kind of talking about now as much. I don't believe
Right.
music was
Right.
music. I mean, dude.
Elton John on
Geez, where's
you
my
know,
brain? Billy Preston.
Soul Train.
Billy Preston's like the fifth Beatle.
The fifth Beatle.
Mhm.
Cool.
On piano.
Nobody was mad at that.
No.
I don't
Hey.
think anybody was mad at Boss Skaggs.
I don't think you're a big fan of his, but I'll tell you, one of the guys that got black acts into Vegas and they readily thanked him back in the day was Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra's the guy that's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Why is Louis Armstrong and Nat King Cole staying downtown at this weird
Right.
hotel? I want him up here with me.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
we can't have him stay here. Then I won't play here.
Right.
He did,
Like,
he
as
did that
much-
with Sammy. He did that with
Sammy,
Sammy.
He did
Yeah.
it with Nat King Cole too, and he did it
Yep.
with Louis Armstrong.
Yep.
He did it with Ella Fitzgerald. No.
Yeah.
There were people that fought the good fight and tried
yeah.
to make the playing field level by talent.
No, I don't
Now
hate Sinatra.
everyone's trying to make the playing field level by because.
No, I don't hate Sinatra. I just don't think he's a great singer. That's all.
Do not ever go to Hoboken, Jersey from this point forward.
Say that, yeah.
I'm just telling you right now.
I don't think I don't think he's a great singer.
I just want everyone to know Brian doesn't speak for me. So
I don't. I'm sorry. So yeah, there's two strikes against me. Well, at least two strikes against me. One is the Whitney Houston, and two is
oh boy.
the Frank Sinatra. It
All
just
right.
is.
We're going
It
to get
just is.
letters, Jay.
Oh, address them to John Young, care of Izzy Itzkowitz at Dewey Cheaterman
I'm
Out
just saying.
.tv. Somebody is typing that right now going, son of a bitch, I'm telling him.
Hey, you're not with me on Olivia Newton-John and Donna Summer. I don't have to be
You know
with
what?
you with
They're
Frank
really
Sinatra.
good. Oh, by the way, and this is, I wish Scrap was here. I saw a clip today. John Farnham, the guy that Scrap talks about all the time, who I really
Yeah.
love, the
Yep.
lead singer from Little River Band,
Yes.
did a duet of Somewhere Over the Rainbow with Olivia Newton-John.
Yeah.
And I saw like a 10-second clip. I got to look it up tonight on YouTube. She sounded amazing.
Yeah. She's impressive.
Effortless.
What year was this?
I don't know, but it couldn't have been that long ago. They both
Right.
looked a little bit older.
Yeah,
So I'll
maybe
say it was in the last 20.
Yeah, within this century. Yeah.
Yes, I believe it within this
Yeah.
century. And she sounded just casual.
The one that kills me, and I've mentioned it before, and it was a while back that I mentioned it, so I can say it again. The one that blew my mind was, it was probably in 2008, 2009. Barry Gibb is in Australia, and he's doing his songs. He does like Islands in the Stream, and I don't know, songs that were really for somebody else, but he's
Sure.
doing them.
Yeah.
I forget. It was like Islands in the Stream, something else, and then he does Guilty
Yep.
with
Barbra
Olivia
Streisand.
Newton-John. But he does it with Olivia Newton-John.
How'd she
And I'm
sound?
listening to this, and she's well into her 50s. Barry sounds like a Muppet. He can't sing anymore at all.
Yeah, why is that? Why don't women's voices go the way men's voices
They
go?
do, but hers didn't.
Yeah, but look how many women, Ann Wilson.
She
Still sounds
She sounds great.
Yeah.
Right. Pat Bennett.
Kenny Loggins still sounds fine, though, so there's no argument.
No, there are guys that still
Yeah.
maintain, but then it seems like a lot of guys, maybe it's the way they sing, blow their voices out before women do.
It's interesting. I was listening to an
Jazz
opera.
singers, they all sounded great at it.
I was listening to an opera, that charismatic voice that Howie.
Oh, I love her. Elizabeth.
I love
and
that.
she was saying how I think it was her. She was talking about how when a man ages, his voice gets higher, and when a woman ages, her voice gets lower, and
Nice.
that's why Grandma and Grandpa kind of sound the same over the phone. I never thought of that.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think I've seen that same video because I've heard her say that.
She also made a point of about having a vocal coach, no matter how big of a star you are,
Yeah.
to save your voice. And she pointed out ones that had a coach and they're doing well, and the ones that didn't, and they blew their voices out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
that's-
what I was
that's
getting
very
at with this guilty, and I'll show if you want to see it, I'll show you later. But after I watched this, in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, Barry gave that song to the wrong female vocalist. That song should have gone to Olivia Newton-John.
Ooh.
I know.
Barbara's got a good voice too.
And I dig Barbara Streisand. But that particular song, it was beautiful with her singing it. I could have only imagined her singing it 40 years ago, you know.
Mm-hmm. But that's what I love about when people do, like even a Barry Manilow, or Rod Stewart. Rod Stewart was always big, always famous. Yeah. Everyone loves Rod Stewart. But like all artists, after Young Turks, it's tough to keep, the 80s and 90s, and all of a sudden, where are you? And all of a sudden, out comes the Great American Songbook.
I was just going to say that, yeah.
And all of a sudden, they're right back on the radar. And I love the interpretation of one artist doing another artist's work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Love it, because they've only got, and it's a cover, but it's an interpretation. They're either going to, which I still use to this day, if you want to know what a perfect cover is, listen to No Doubt doing It's My Life by the
It's really good.
They absolutely do it the way the band did it. They don't give any liberties. They don't make it theirs. I
think they made it theirs.
Oh no, they totally did, but they kept the song. They did.
Was it Weezer doing Africa was dumb.
I didn't like it, but they did the same thing, but I don't like it.
But they did it note for note.
But that's the rule of cover.
But what's the point?
Do it perfect.
Exactly.
I
disagree with you, Jay. These are
rules. It's not.
No, here's the rules. Here's the rules in my world. If you're gonna do a cover, you got to do you got to do something to make it your own. And if you do what Weezer did to Africa, there's no point. Just listen to Toto's version.
Absolutely, they took it and kind of stole it. I agree with you.
Case in point, Trent Reznor, Hurt.
Johnny Cash,
Hurt. He made it his own.
100%.
The one that I go back to that I like better than the original, again, you guys are going to hate me for this. We're going to get hate mail for this. I prefer the Hall & Oates version of You Lost That Love and Feeling to the Righteous Brothers.
Okay. Well, you're wrong.
All day.
That's okay. You can have
it. It's a better song.
Okay. When you send your mail, make sure you tag Brian in it.
Yeah.
In fact,
by the way, I just want to say it is August, not June, because that's why I told Brian if you're going to put out Donna Summer in the month of Pride, we're going to have people storming the gates. So again, those of you in Fire Island, Rehoboth, P-Town, San Francisco, Castro District, I like Barbara Streisand.
I like Barbara Streisand too.
Okay, good. Now he's backpedaling. Thank God.
No, I'm not backpedaling. I just think Olivia Newton-John should have gotten guilty.
Okay,
we'll leave "Woman in Love" for Barbara Streisand. She can have that one, but I think that's a good one to Olivia.
Yeah, but you know what? You bring up a point that makes me think in my head, which I'm sure you've done as well. Wouldn't you love to have heard Olivia Newton-John tackle something like the Barbara Streisand catalog? Can you imagine Olivia Newton-John singing Somewhere?
We have to end this show about 5 minutes early so I can show you this clip before you have to do your meeting.
Incredible.
Because it's that good. You have to see it. And
by the way, everyone, Brian shared a clip last night. We can't show on this due to copyright infringement, but look up Donna Summer doing Dim All the Lights, and then in parentheses does it say Maggie May 2 in parentheses, Brian?
No, I don't. It doesn't. It's Dim All the Lights live. It's from like 99.
I think it's from the MTV Icon.
It's from VH1
Diva or VH1 Divas, because she does it. She wrote the song, which I did not know. Brian gave us all this info last night. She wrote the song as a Maggie May Part 2 for Rod
Stewart.
Excuse me, he turned it down. She kept it, made a big hit out of it, but she sings the opening as it was written for Rod Stewart, and it is chilling. How
I didn't think you liked it when I played it.
Loved it.
Oh wow, you were totally dismissive of it. I'm like, no, you have to watch this, and you didn't really react. I didn't think you dug it.
And what's the name of it again?
Dim All the Lights. Donna Summer.
It's Dim All the Lights. She wrote the song as Maggie May Part 2 for Rod Stewart, because Jay had said Donna didn't write her own song. He's like, well, she wrote Dim All the Lights.
I was wrong.
And he's like, well, no shit. I'm like, yeah, she wrote it for Rod Stewart.
It's the second time in 30 seconds I've been wrong.
And when he turned it down, she changed the words and made it a disco song. But it was a ballad Maggie May Part 2
It's
song that
beautiful.
Rod said no thank you to. And
It's
she
beautiful.
said, I'm glad he did because I had a hit out of it. But she wrote
Yeah.
it.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think there's nothing more stunning than when artists take something and you can hear the respect.
yeah.
Johnny Cash didn't just play Hurt and go, this is what I'm going to do. Johnny Cash respected the song,
Yeah.
respected the artist,
Uh-huh.
and produced something of absolute brilliance. The fact that to this day we can say 9 Inch Nails as a song from the band has won a Country Music Award of the Year for Best Song tells you all you need to know, not only about the gravity and force of such an incredible artist as Johnny Cash, parentheses, without Johnny Cash, you don't have the Sex Pistols, Social Distortion, or a lot of real punk and hard rock of the 60s, 70s, 80s,
Yeah, yeah. Of course.
all day.
An OG punk rocker. Yeah.
Oh, in my opinion, the first.
Yeah.
Technically, Elvis could be called out as the first punk artist because he bucked the system, but cementing it, Johnny Cash, all day.
Yeah.
But it's when an artist of skill and talent takes something and elevates it. When you think, well, here, I'll give you one that I've played a few times on Twitch. Dolly Parton doing Stairway to Heaven. It is not only a beautiful, beautiful version, but Dolly Parton in her 70s sings it like she was 23.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, she still
mean-
has the pipes. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, give me a break. How in the hell is this person doing this? That's when it's genius. And I think what we're lacking today, we're lacking that sense of this is an artist I will listen to in 30 or 40 years. This is an entity of skill and talent that will go on beyond their own time. I'm sure it's there, and I'd love people to put in the comments, turn me on to this talent. Tell me, is it really Drake? Is it The Weeknd? Is it Cardi B? Tell me who I should be looking at to cultivate for the rest of my time on the planet as someone I can look to for quality sounds.
Well, I want to thank you guys first for steering me away from my woke rant that I was about to go on about 20 minutes ago. Because you probably saved a lot of
Letters.
letters. Yeah.
We get letters. We get
Woke
them.
music bad. Just
Again,
so you know.
if you haven't written us a letter and you're into pens and paper, you send them out to John Young, 123 Main Street, someplace near a frozen lake, comma, Minnesota, or where is he? Idaho? Who knows?
yeah, I don't
You
know.
know what? If you just put John Young
That way.
123 Main Street, you end up, it gets it's like Santa Claus without a zip code.
Yeah.
Still get your letter.
Well, I think we had an okay show tonight. It was
Yeah, we
interesting. We kind of ramble a little bit. I want to end a little early because I know
Okay.
Jay has something to do, and I really want Jay to hear this performance before he goes, because
Yeah.
otherwise he'll forget about it and he won't do it. So
Yeah, but no, if you thought I didn't, I loved the intro of the Donna Summer.
I'm glad, and I'll play for Howie when you go.
Really did. Yeah,
I
yeah.
think Howie will dig it too.
Yeah, and check
Donna Summer singing in the style of Rod Stewart for about a song she wrote for him. Very interesting.
pretty much just the first verse, and then she switches gears.
Yeah, but it's you know you
get
hear it.
Oh, you get it.
She changes
No,
the
no.
words
You
back to the
get it.
original words, and it's like, oh, this is kind of dope. And
Yeah.
Rod would have done well with this.
Yeah, you get it very, very quickly.
And she wrote it. So it's kind of cool. So anyway, guys, thank you so much. We will see you next week. Thank you, Howie. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, everyone, for watching. See you then.